Saturday morning, we're kicking off the Experts program. That means Luis Alvarez is joining us right now, and we're going to talk technology with him. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So we're just a few days away from Christmas. Are you ready?
No.
Haven't done your shopping yet, have you?
Well, we've done some things online, but this weekend we're going to go to the stores locally here in Salinas and poke around for some unique gifts for friends and family.
Okay.
Which is, one of the nice things about having stores, smaller stores like this is you're not going to. This isn't the stuff you can get online, right? This is something that's going to be unique and that somebody might appreciate more.
Yeah, they'll definitely appreciate it more and remember it longer. So that's a nice thing. So we wanted to get back on this topic of the red light cameras because in the city of Salinas, they started back in November installing 4 red light cameras at some very heavily trafficked intersections in town. And these are intersections where there have been a number of pedestrian fatalities where vehicles have committed hit and runs against people just trying to cross the street. We had one just a couple weeks ago on, I believe it was Work Street and I want to say John at that intersection. And a younger woman, she was out there at night walking her dog and she was right in the middle of the roadway and somebody hit her and drove off. Now, they don't have a red light camera there, but the city has installed them in 4 intersections around town. And the idea is to catch red light runners because generally red light runners are folks driving at a high rate of speed and they are amongst the most unsafe drivers in the community. So this is a way of, I guess, providing an extra set of eyes for the police department.
Cameras are becoming more and more ubiquitous everywhere you go. And it's because they can help extend the reach of law enforcement, if you will. It's easier to have the cameras detect stuff and report back than, having people just randomly find it happening. So I think the the stoplight cameras are just a natural evolution. When you think about it, they predict that by next year, by the end of 2021, we're going to have over 1 billion cameras worldwide. Right. And in the U.S., there's about 85 million cameras that they think will be deployed. So that's a lot of cameras doing a lot of work. Salinas is just starting to join a lot of other cities that have been deploying red light cameras to catch people who blow through stoplights for a long time.
And what's interesting is I remember when they first came out with the red light cameras over 20 years ago, there was a lot of pushback from people about red light cameras. And in a number of communities that had put in red light cameras, those cameras were actually removed. They had citizen referendums or they had pressure on city council members. You had mayors and council members that supported the red light cameras removed from office and recall elections. They were able to get those red light cameras taken out. Now things have changed. You and I have talked about this over the years for a number of years that people are less concerned about their privacy being invaded.
Exactly.
A lot of folks just want a well-ordered society and they want things to go smoothly. And if that means giving up some of their privacy, some freedom, then they're willing to make that trade-off. So now we're seeing members of the public actually clamoring for red light cameras. I think when the red light cameras first were introduced 20 years ago, they were seen as, I think correctly by the public, as a revenue enhancement device for the city. Now what we're seeing is, and particularly in cities like Salinas, where there have been so many pedestrian fatalities in hit and run accidents, a lot of people in the community actually want these red light cameras because they want to catch those people that are running down their fellow citizens in the intersection just because the person had the temerity to walk into a crosswalk when it said that they could walk. Some hothead in his car going 70 miles an hour doesn't like that. He wants to blow through the intersection, doesn't want to slow down, and they don't care if they hit somebody because, I don't know, maybe they played a bunch of video games over the years where you run over people or you blow people up or whatever and they're just figures on a screen and it's not real to you. I don't know what's going on in the minds of the people that run someone down and like it doesn't matter that they seriously injure or kill someone.
That leads to another kind of related topic that you and I talked about, which is more and more communities are looking at putting cameras in place, not only to catch people who blow through stop signs and red lights, but also to catch people who are using their phones while they're driving. Because one, the technology has become sophisticated enough that cameras can do that. There had to be some innovations and some kind of advances in video technology to allow camera to not only see somebody in their car, but detect that they have a a phone up to their head and then alert the authorities and issue a fine. But we've gotten there, and people see that as a good thing in a lot of places where they're being talked about, because that's distracted driving. That's what leads to people getting hit. That's what leads to people getting injured, because, somebody's sitting there, and I've seen it. I think any one of us that has driven the streets around here has seen people, like the car in front of you, start slowing down and veering in a weird direction. Before, you might have thought, this guy's been doing some day drinking. Now we all just know that person is trying to do something on their phone and is not paying attention to traffic and not paying attention to speed. Mm-hmm. And that's a dangerous situation.
And you sent me an article from the Washington Post about a suburb community in a county in Maryland, in Montgomery County, Maryland, where they're actually installing these surveillance cameras that are not red light cameras, but they are actually cameras that are designed to look into your vehicle to see what you're doing, addressing exactly what you were talking about. Now, I can see a couple things coming out of this camera mentality that we have coming on in Salinas or Montgomery County or anywhere else in the United States and in the state of California. A couple things here, Lewis. Number one is there's a lot of people who drive around without a front license plate. And in the state of California, the law says you have to have a front license plate and a back license plate. So the red light cameras, they are going to take pictures of your license plates as you go through the intersection. Well, now in communities that have red light cameras, police see someone driving around without a front license plate, whereas before they ignored it. I can bet that they're going to start pulling people over and issuing fix-it tickets for not having that front license plate. So that's one thing. And you know what the other thing is?
What's that?
How many cars do you see, like you're driving around town and you stopped at an intersection, car next to you, you look over, and their windows are so tinted that they're literally blacked out. Yeah. And you cannot see into that vehicle at all. That's illegal.
Yep.
In the state of California, that is completely illegal. And rarely do the police ever write fix-it tickets for that. Because, I mean, gosh, drive around Salinas or Monterey, and you will see cars like that all day long. And you wonder, God, they never stop these people and give them tickets for this kind of stuff. Well, as the use of these cameras becomes more predominant, you're going to start seeing the police pull people over for having tinted windows that are too darkly tinted. And then the next thing that will follow on from that is the police chief will go to the city council and staff and make a presentation and say, we need an ordinance. We need a law against businesses in our community tinting windows beyond this level of darkness or lightness, whatever you want to call it, so that the businesses that are doing that will be considered an illegal activity, because they're going to have to hit it at both ends to stop it.
Yeah. And I think that the use of technology to enforce laws has been around forever. As technology has improved and gotten better, you're going to see more and more of these solutions put in place to help law enforcement enforce laws that are on the books, laws that people wanted. We're going to start seeing drones flying over isolated stretches of highway, detecting, looking for people speeding, things like that we could get away with in the past is going to start to become harder and harder to get away with, simply because technology has gotten to the point where it's affordable and inexpensive for law enforcement to use.
Well, the CHP has always had officers up in small airplanes, fixed-wing aircraft on I-70 and 101, various places in the state, I-5, looking for people that are driving over the speed limit, tracking them, and then an officer on the ground pulls you over, but the officer signing the ticket is actually the officer up in the airplane, I guess. So that's the way it was explained to me. Yeah, if they start using drones, boy, how many more tickets could they write if they use drones? I guess it's limitless, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I like my car, having that cruise control where you can just kind of set it as 65 or 75, depending on what stretch of highway you're on. And you're not tempted to go faster just because there's nothing in front of you.
Right.
And you just kind of go along, and you're going to get there when you're going to get there.
Sure.
And you don't have to worry about catching the ticket.
When you've been driving on a highway, and it's one of those highways that's patrolled, have you ever, like as you're driving and you're scanning the roadway, and you notice the shadow of an airplane wing off the side, and you go, oh gosh, that's got to be CHP up above me. I better slow down. Better check my speed.
Yeah. No, you definitely have to keep not just eyes around you, but eyes up in the sky too.
But I will tell you, the one thing that I do resent about the enforcement of the license plate law is the fact that, like here in Salinas, and it seems to happen here, I never had this happen over on the peninsula, but I've had this happen 3 times in Salinas over the years. And that is people stealing your license plates in order to get your tags. And when that happens, they usually steal your back plate because that's the one with the tags on it. You have to go to the DMV and you have to pay for new plates and new registration sticker on your nickel. And when the radio station was over at the not the American Tin Cannery, that's another station. When we were over at the Sherwood Gardens for many years, we had no secure parking there, and it's a bad neighborhood. And that's where I had license plates stolen off my vehicle 3 times, and during the daytime. Okay. Now here where we are on Moffett Street, we have secured parking. I go through an electric gate and I park in the back, so I don't worry about that now. But on my truck, I only have 1 license plate because the last time they stole the license plate off my vehicle, they stole the back plate with the tags. So I was able to get new tags. I can't remember, what it ended up costing me, but I was able to buy new tags, just a new registration tag, or I think my registration was coming up due. That's what it was. My registration, it was right about the time that my registration was expiring. So not very smart of the person that stole my license plate, right? Because the tags were expiring the next month. Okay. So I got the new tags in the mail, and I just took the plate off the front and moved it to the back and put the tags on it. So that vehicle only has 1 plate on it. I'm sure one of these days, driving that truck, I'll get stopped and be told, given a fixed it ticket and have to go fix it. But it just makes me mad because, doggone it, it's not my fault. And I'm having to pay for this, and it just makes you really, really angry. I wish that we would go to a system, and the technology has to get to this point, Lewis. How about this? They can scan your license plate. If they're going to take pictures of us inside the car, they're going to have red light cameras in the intersections. You want to find out if somebody's car is properly registered, scan their license plate, send it through your computer system, and instead of putting tags on your plate, just have it show that, oh yeah, that car is registered. So then you take away the incentive to steal people's license plates for the tags. And then if somebody's looking at taking your license plate, they won't know whether your car is properly registered or not because there won't be any tags on it. I don't know if that'll help anything or make it worse or what, but there's got to be a better way to protect people from having to deal with this kind of crap.
I think the solution that you described is not too far away, my friend. We do a lot of video surveillance work for our clients, and the technology that is out there, some of them can scan cars going 85 miles an hour and not have any problems at all, detecting things like license plate registrations that are missing or things like that. So it's not too far away.
Well, when you can buy a $500 cell phone that has a camera on it better than, say, a $1,000 camera that you bought at a camera store 20 years ago, why wouldn't the technology be there to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Louis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, has been our guest this morning, kicking things off for us here on Power Talk Radio. Check him out at alvareztg.com. At AlvarezTG is the Twitter handle, and Louis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.